Hello, good morning, WBC community. I'm very pleased to have this master class that I remind you that we're going to have every first Wednesday of each month. I want to welcome two presidents today. Our president of WBC University, Mauricio Suleiman. Thank you for creating all this um, uh, program and being very defined with us that we must have these master class monthly. And also I want to welcome our president of the Ring Official Chairman Dwayne Ford. Please welcome and let's have this wonderful master class. All yours.
Thank you, Xochitl. She has upgraded me to president of WBC University. Good.
Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry.
You have
Well,
WBC
yes.
University in your heart. I would like to welcome everyone. This is a thrill for us to be back in a master class, and every time that I'm able to share 1 minute with Dwayne Ford, I learn. So I'm very excited to be with Dwayne Ford to learn many things. And I want to thank everyone for this meeting, and hopefully we will all be coming out with a better understanding of many things. So Dwayne, please go ahead and let's have a great masterclass.
Well, I just want to say thank you for those who are in the class today. After last class, I gave much thought to how amazing the officials are and how earnest the officials want to learn more. And I just want to say, to give you a big thank you and encourage you to keep the course. There's a lot of people out there who have never had the opportunity to score a big fight. There's a lot of you who are new and moving up the line, and I encourage everyone to stay the course and learn everything you can. And a lot of this is sometimes you need to be in the right place at the right time. And by your participation in this, and by your participation in attending the conventions, you're putting yourself in a position to have good things happen to you. Today is kind of a different subject. There's a lot of confusion out there amongst different commissions between organizations. Through my years in boxing, I've noticed that there's a transition in boxing. When somebody goes off the commission, new people come on, they have different ideas, and sometimes they change things for the good, sometimes they're changed for the bad. Today, our dear President Mauricio and myself would like to just bring up a couple of subjects and then blend the information so that you understand why we use the scoring criteria we have. There's confusion out there between the MMA scoring and the boxing scoring. I want to just kind of touch on that just for a moment. I have high respect for the MMA of fighting. I have tremendous respect for the UFC. I remember when UFC came into existence that everybody was scared to death that boxing was going to fade away into the dark. To the contrary, the UFC made boxing better. Boxing worked harder. The way that the fighters are introduced and with all of the limelight from that standpoint, the boxing promotions are a lot more entertaining, and we're having better fights. And we've improved the boxing area there. But I want to separate what makes MMA and what makes boxing. Have you ever wondered why it's called boxing? Well, the reason it's called boxing is because they box. Have you ever wondered why MMA is called MMA? It's called MMA because they fight. Boxing boxes, they box, and MMA fight. In boxing, we look for the effect of the punches, the effect of the scoring criteria. On MMA, they look for the damage. I don't know how many hunters we have on this broadcast, but let's suppose we were going to go out bird hunting. In boxing, we would use a very small shotgun shell that had a lot of shot in it, very fine. On MMA, they would use double-aught buck. The double-aught buck, there's 9 big pellets in there, and it'll kill. I don't disrespect the MMA with that because the
Dwayne,
key there is the
Dwayne.
damage. Yes.
Yeah, I think just to some of us are not familiar with the words you said, and we have an international audience. So what you say, boxing, they would use a very precise, high quality arm that sends one bullet with a precision classic, correct?
Correct.
And the MMA, they have this robust arms that sends multi bullets all the way like that and kill. Is that correct?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't use the word kill, but the key thing in the MMA side is damage. The key thing on the boxing side is we box and we look for the effect of the punch. So that's what we kind of want to talk about today. Soshi, if you would bring up the slides.
Yes, of course.
Okay, we forgot the first slide, but that's my fault.
No.
Okay.
You want the next one?
No, the next one after this.
Okay, la siguiente.
Okay.
La otra, Gilbert.
Right there. I want to define the word effective. Effective might mean a lot of different things to each of us, but effective in the sense of the boxing, the word means producing the intent or desire, a desired result. In general use, it means something is effective if it is actually works or achieves its purpose. The other is being successful in producing an impact or a result. So in order to meet the boxing criteria, you must produce the result that you desire. It must achieve. There's other words. It's efficient. It's productive. It's adequate. It's useful. It's skilled and proficiency. Next slide. So the first scoring criteria, as we all know, is clean, effective punches. Punches that land within the scoring zone. We all should know that the scoring zone is from the top of the head, splitting the ears, down to the hip or the navel, or whatever the referee declares, forward. Last night I watched an MMA fight where the fighter was down and they were throwing punches to the back of the head. The line of the zone on boxing is splitting the ears, moving forward. Now, truthfully and honestly, if a fighter gets hit along the side of the head, it's a scoring punch, but not behind the head in any form or any style. In the boxing, the scoring is quality over quantity. In other words, there's a lot of judges that keep track of the punches, and they feel that the one that lands the most punches wins the fight or wins the round. Punch stat is a good example. Sometimes those punch stats don't mean a thing, but what really has the impact and what really is meaningful is the quality of the effective punch over the light or grazing type of shot. Blocked punches, partially deflected, or missed punches do not count. Next slide. Effective aggression. So keep in mind, we're looking for something effective, which we've previously defined along the lines of being productive. So effective aggression is moving with purpose and landing clean punches with effect. Now, what does that really mean? If you're being aggression, you're moving with purpose. You're landing clean punches with effect. That effect may be the other fighter took a detour. He's moving in a different direction. It had an effect on it. The punch had an effect on him where he moved back, or it had some type of effect that it was more than just a glancing punch. A simple changing or throwing a volume of punches without effect doesn't count. Rewarding a boxer who applies pressure that produces scoring blows. You want to reward that boxer for his effective aggressiveness. If he's slipping and moving punches, but yet he's being very productive in scoring clean, good shots, give him credit. A fighter might be quick to counterpunch. Some fighters wait and allow the other fighters to throw the punch first, and therefore they're very effective in their aggression by being quick to counterpunch. They quickly throw a punch that lands within the scoring zone. Effective aggression is not, and I repeat, effective aggression is not the fighter moving forward unless he's being productive in his punches. An effective aggressor could be being very effective moving backwards, moving sideways, moving any direction, as long as there's an effective punch involved in it. The next slide. Ring chairmanship is the third scoring criteria. Through the years, we have defined it as control. The fighter controls the flow, the pace, the style of the fight. Consider, is one fighter dictating where the fight is taking place? Is he the one that is controlling the ring? Is he the one that's making the fight? Is the opponent being forced to react or fight at an uncomfortable pace? Ring chairmanship and control is where your defense comes into effect. The fighter is able to slip the punches and quickly counter. The fighter is able to defend himself. However, defense is not going to win the round alone. The fighter must score some punches. Next one, Sochi, or is this the last one? Yeah, you can take the display off. So there's a few things to think about here as to how you normally sit down and score a fight. How do we use effectiveness? Are there any one out there that has any questions or want to bring up a point?
If I may, one of the key topics and very complicated matters is for an official to distinguish precisely between a fighter going forward, throwing punches, and the effectiveness of a fighter landing quality punches. You can go forward, sideways, or even backwards, landing punches. At the end, that is what has to be scored, not going forward without landing the punches or throwing many and not landing in the scoring area. But that's one thing where you have to concentrate as a judge in training yourself to distinguish that. It is not that you will just catch it. You have to train and train and train, and then you will be identifying. You're gonna be at a fight saying, "Oh, now I get it." So these are very important concepts that are the key of the uniform mentality that we are looking to establish between all of you. Scoring a fight is like a language. One speaks German, the other speaks Spanish, the other speaks English. If we talk all like that, we're not communicating. And we are not effectively communicating. So we need all the judges to speak the same language in scoring criteria. Thank you.
Great points, Mauricio. And I think that sometimes we get distracted as judges because one fighter is forcing the action and we have our eyes on him because he's moving and forcing the action and so forth, but he's losing the fight because the other fighter is being effective in his counter punches, effective in his movement. The other point that I want to make is you need to have a program in your preparation for the fight. That program might start a week before the fight in filtering out all distractions that you might have. So that you sit down in that seat, you're ready to eliminate all confusing things that might be in your life. And you can sit there and you can see and take into consideration the scoring criteria that we have given, the effective clean punches, the effect of those punches. A fighter might land a solid right hand to his opponent, but it might not have any effect. The other fighter might have counterpunched with a couple of good punches. It had no effect on him. So you need to give consideration. You can't favor whether it's a hard right hand or a hard left hand. You have to be fair to both fighters. Think in every round, what is the scoring criteria? Go over it beforehand in your mind. Understand what effective means to you. What is an effective punch? What does that really mean to you? I can't sit here and tell you that, gee, if the fighter gets hit and he blinks, that's worth 3 or 4 points. I can't do that. You have to come with your own thoughts and your own ideas on that. And Mauricio said earlier that at a fight, you're going to go, wow, I got this. I want to encourage you to start judging the fights in each round, not by thinking this fighter's ahead by 5 punches, this fighter's ahead by 10, and then they exchange and you're trying to keep track of the punches. I would ask you to think in the forms of our close, our moderate, our decisive, and extreme decisive. I guarantee you that if you start thinking the minute the first punch is that this fighter, the first punch, he's winning close, and throw that up in your mind, he's winning close, or red is close, red is close. And then if he keeps winning and he moves into the moderate, think in terms he's winning moderate, he's winning moderate. Because if you think in the terms of close, moderate, and decisive, if there's a distraction, you don't have to come back and say, oh, was he ahead by 4 punches? Was he ahead by 9? You know that he was in the close range. The WBC has really emphasized in every one of our seminars, the master classes, the use of close, moderate, decisive, and extreme decisive. For those of you who do not know, when you go into the extreme decisive, your mental score is you've moved it to 10-8 without a knockdown. So with that, I think we would, if does anybody out there have any questions?
Sorry to always.
No.
I would like to express a few comments from what we have experienced during the Grand Prix in Saudi. We have used, of course, the enhanced scoring program, ESP, we call it. And every judge, they have used it. And we have seen there's a variation. And that's where you need to practice. Very unfortunately, very few boxing commissions use the same scorecard that a WBC fight uses. So when you do your fights in your state or your country, you are not going to be doing the close, moderate, decisive, extreme, because the scorecard is not like that. You may want to, on your own, just write the letter, maybe. But when you don't practice in your fights that you judge, then it's going to be a complication. California, I believe another state in the USA, Nebraska, I think, they already have put the close, moderate, decisive, extreme in their scorecard. So what I have seen in Riyadh, we have seen judges that have not normally used the scorecard. They have gone separate from the ones that are using it. This system, what it makes, and the great direct effect that it has, concentration. If you are required to go down to the detail of putting your score all the way down, whether it was close, moderate, decisive, or extreme, then you are very concentrated. It's going to be very hard for you to lose concentration. What I see is when we have close here and we have extreme here, okay? It is not the same amount to go from close to moderate and to go from moderate to decisive and then decisive to extreme. It is not the same value of like 25%, 25%, 25%. When you see a extreme round, everybody should be able to go to the extreme. It's a round where the fighter was completely overwhelmed. The only thing that did not happen is him going down. But then when you go from going to close to moderate, that's where we're finding officials that have a little difficulty. And when you go to close, it could be seen as simple. It is a simple score where you're going to feel safe. 10-9, close. To go and use moderate and decisive, that's the good judges. That's where it's going to take you to the higher level of concentration and accuracy. So practice, 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 practice. And it just has to be natural. You are not impressing anyone by putting C, M, or D. It's not, nobody's looking at it. It's you that you have to understand when it goes from a close round to a clear moderate round that he won. There's no doubt about it. And then when you see a round that it was over clearly, he won. It's a decisive round. He landed hard punches and there's no doubt. There's no space. So it has to be practice, 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 practice. And also feedback, feedback, feedback. The WBC University and the Ring Officials Committee is going to be implementing more and more practice opportunities for every judge who wants to take them. Thank you.
More good points, Mauricio. I think that using the close, moderate, decisive, I remind you the term, what is a close round? A close round is a narrow margin of victory. A close round. So you could have a close round. Two judges could have a close round, and one judge could have a moderate round. And then I would ask the judge in the moderate, where in the moderate were you? If he says, oh, I was way over by decisive, then you know that he's going a little bit too fast. Most of the time when you have two judges in the close and you have a judge go into the moderate, the judge, if he's being honest, will say, I just stepped into the moderate. I hope you understand that, but close is a narrow margin of victory. Moderate is a clear. There was a clear winner. And then decisive, there was a large. And extreme is what Mauricio said. He got hit with everything, but he didn't go down. The other thing that I want to touch on today is sometimes in the first 4 rounds, a judge is a little insecure. And I mean by that is he's not really prepared. And he might come out and he might have a very close round in the first round. And the other judges may see that also. And one judge may have it in the decisive. It doesn't say the other 2 judges are wrong. But what I want to bring up is that if you have a round that comes out and the one fighter A, wins the first round moderately, he wins the second round moderately, and in the third round, fighter B did a little bit better, and it moved back to the close. But judges see that fighter did something different, and they will move directly to him winning the round. He did better in the round, however, he didn't win it. And that's called movement in the round. If a fighter lands a hard punch, don't be quick to move to judgment. In other words, if the fighter that was losing the round, he lands one hard punch, don't jump and go to the other that he's winning it. Make them prove it to you. If a fighter lands a hard punch with effect, 99 times out of 100, he's going to move in and land more punches. So make him prove it to him. Anybody have any questions on anything right now?
They are shy.
Question? Oh, sorry.
No, come on, Tom.
In a ladies fight where it's 2 minutes versus 3, does it have any effect on the speed that you go from close, moderate, decisive? Because I know that women's fights to me seem to be more action-packed because they got to get more in a short period of time. In your opinion, how does that affect the judging?
Well, I might answer that this way. The fight is going to tell you what speed to go by. The fight itself. In other words, if the fighters comes out and one of them's beating the daylights out of him, you're going to move close. And you're gonna score it in that mind that you have determined what close is. Close is a very narrow margin of victory. And if they've moved into the moderate, it doesn't matter if you're in the close, the moderate, or the decisive. In your mind, you're going to know where they are, whether it's 2 minutes or 1 minute. In other words, if I was standing behind you and you were judging a fight, and at 30 seconds into the round, I'd tap you on the shoulder and I'd say to you, you have a close, moderate, or decisive. You might say, I have it close. You might say, hey, I have a moderate. So in your mind, at every moment of the round, you need to know the fight is close, moderate, or decisive. So whether it's a 2 minute round or 10 minutes.
If you tap him in the shoulder and he responds, it means he's not concentrated. I think it's a great question, Tom. And the issue is I don't know if Dwayne, he has always been very clear in explaining how you have to be balancing. It's a mental computer. So when the round begins, you are at 0-0, 100 or 100, or a balance like this. And then you start to see the actions and you see one fighter going up and the other going down, or any mental system you use to see who is going up and down, ahead or behind. And that's exactly the same. It doesn't matter if it's in the 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. But it's a very good question to look into, but I don't think it has any difference whether it's 2 minute round or 3 minute round. It's the same principle of looking where they are at the moment that bell rings to end the round.
To me, it's like a horse race. Whether they're racing, I don't know how many furlongs, I don't understand horse racing, but I mean, if it's a short horse race, there's going to be a winner. And you just need to focus on who's winning and whether it's a close or moderate. But good question. Anyone else?
I just want to say, to be concentrate, I remember Don Jose Sulaiman used to say, and the balance, the concentration when the round start, 10-9, and then now with the new system we have, we're going to write down how is the round, moderate or whatever. But the to be very concentrate is that point. You got to go and take your balance. Balance 10-9, 10-9, 10-10, 10-10, 10-9, 10-9. That's I've been using and it's been doing well.
And you've done very well with it, Jose, very well. So thank you for your comment.
I see, if I may also, just as an example, many times we see round 1, round 2 in many fights that are very low activity. So in those rounds, it will be very hard to go to moderate. Those rounds that they're only moving, starting, here's a jab that doesn't really land. There's another, maybe 1-2 that don't really land, and then the round is over. It's very hard to go to moderate, much decisive, impossible. So those rounds that are with very little activity have to be scored close. You may see a very good right hand land, one punch in the whole round. Are you going to go to decisive because it was one punch and it was clear it was the only punch? So it's a matter of just practicing and understanding, discussing with your peers, with Dwayne as a chairman, and time will be helping everybody get into the same language.
You know, whether you're judging a fight, personally, you're one of the officials, or if you're a spectator, learn to judge when you're a spectator. Sit there and write down your score and whether it's close, moderate. You might want to talk to the officials after the fight. I remember years ago when I started, I was working in this fights in the Silver Slipper in Las Vegas. And I was a timekeeper and counted knockdowns. And I got bored during it. And at that time, on the tables, they put butcher paper or white paper. And so I started trying to keep the score. And I remember after the fights at the Silver Slipper, we would always go upstairs and eat. And there was a couple of tremendous world-class judges named Art Lurie and Harold Buck and Hal Miller. I would go to them and ask them, how did you score the fifth round? And I remember Mr. Art Lurie says, why do you want to know, kid? And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Lurie, I'm just trying to learn. And he put his arm around my shoulder and I sat at his table and ate with him. And I learned more from talking to the old timers, talking to my peers, the experienced ones like Dave Moretti and all those great officials that have been around. Even Steve Weisfeld that's still working. And I talk with David Sutherland, and I talk with a lot of you, asking you, how did you score it and why? I'm doing that because I'm learning for myself. But I encourage you, don't be afraid to introduce yourself to somebody that's been in the business for a long time, an experienced judge or a referee, and ask them questions and learn. I recall of a seminar I did in the southern part of the United States, and we were having kind of discussions like this, and we had taught some specific things, and one of the judges or one of the referees stood up and said, well, I don't like your suggestions, and I'm going to keep doing the way I like it. Unfortunately, that individual didn't go very far in boxing. But if you could develop the mental thoughts of you're going to learn something at every fight, not every show, but every fight you're going to learn something. I can tell you this, sitting here today, I'm reminded of how little I know of boxing. And every occasion we can learn something. Let's grab another question. Somebody jump up and give Mauricio a real tough question.
Pregunta al azar, Mauricio. Random question, Dwayne. See if they're putting attention. Or maybe we need a concentration example here. Not.
Well, does anybody have a suggestion as to how to improve the master class? Does anybody have a suggestion as to subjects that they would like to hear from? I encourage you to speak up, and you're not going to hurt my feelings to say it was boring today or I didn't learn much. That's not going to bother me. I frankly would like to hear, what subjects would you like to discuss? Because this is really your forum.
Phil Austin, please.
Yep. Thank you, Don Mauricio. The one suggestion I would have, because for myself, I first started going to the enhanced system at the end of 2018 after I first saw Dwayne present it, and it's been a game changer for me in many ways. And anyone that's not doing it, I just encourage that you have to do that. But with the breakdown, quite often when you talk about close, moderate, decisive, you go, I'm talking about in the master classes, we have, okay, at this point you go here, at this point you go there. For newer judges that may be tuning in, would it be a good idea to actually have a round that you put up and then stop and go, okay, this is a textbook example of now being 10-9 close. The round progresses, you stop the round. Okay, now we're at 10-9 moderate. That might help those that aren't getting it clearly in their mind, a way of actually seeing, that's what 10-9 moderate looks like.
It is a great idea. The problem we have seen is that in Zoom meetings, the video is not consistent. That's the only problem. But I think, Dwayne, we can work on a video that will be, we can edit it and go here. You go from even to close. And then we continue going, and then we stop and say, here you should have gone to moderate. Something like that. I think that's a good idea, and we can edit videos so the official, while they're watching, and they say, oh, that's right. That's where you go to clear and moderate and decisive.
Phil, great suggestion. And in the past, in my seminars, I've done just that. And then we come up with the idea that we put a meter on the round at the bottom of it, and the needle would move back and forth from close, moderate, and decisive. For the next one, I'll try and pull some of those out of the dust and see if the quality of the video is good enough that we can do that. But that's really a good suggestion. The only thing, and I thought about it before, but when I did it with people in the room, it's easier to have interchanged discussion. But that's a good idea, and I promise you we'll come up with something like that.
Thank you.
There was a good suggestion. Who else has a good suggestion on topics? Think about what you'd like to hear.
Stephen Blair would like to speak.
Oops. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. The biggest thing that I've seen with a lot of officials, and it's still happening, is that when they visualize a fight, when they're concentrating, some of them, like, you know, we're talking about the effectiveness of a punch, right? And then you have another boxer that's snapping and popping. But a lot of times, I don't know why, but everybody is looking for that powerful fighter instead of watching the skill of which boxing really is. And I learned this a while back when I was doing a fight with Mauricio, and he came up and he asked me afterwards, what did you see? He goes, you got stuck on watching the boxer and you didn't watch the effectiveness of the counterpuncher. So after that, I started studying more and more that it doesn't matter if the guy's coming in throwing clean, hard shots, but if the other guy's counterpunching, and I think that's where a lot of people are not visualizing and focusing, what you really need to do. And I think that's where sometimes we get the scores where if you went and looked at the cards, somebody's up here at decisive, somebody's still right here, barely at moderate. And you're like, well, he didn't want to go there because he didn't see it. So I don't know. That's one of the things that I say, even back home in Colorado, our scorecards are just like the WBC cards. And a lot of people come and ask me, and they go, what does this mean? And I tell them, you have to concentrate 100%. And if I was to stop the round, like at 1 minute, and I came and asked you, what's your score? You have to let me know if it was close, moderate, 10-9. I said, that's how you got to watch it. It doesn't matter when it's the end of the round, it's where you are at during the rounds. And it's been a while, but you know what? If you concentrate, it really comes through. So I think more and more about that helps the best. Did everybody hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I was just giving thought to what you said, but I think there's something that I know I have found is that sometimes we panic as a judge. We panic in the form of oh my goodness, who in the heck is winning this at this moment?
You
And
can't do that.
you think, gee, what are the other judges seeing? And when that happens, I promise you, just relax, because something will happen that will tell your mind who won that round. And if nothing happens, then you might end up having an even round. There's nothing wrong with having even rounds. What's wrong with even rounds is if you, in your career, you have a tendency to have a lot of even rounds. That might be wrong, because it might be a red flag saying you can't concentrate. But the point again, and I'll repeat it, don't panic if you don't know who's winning. Don't guess at the end of the round. And if you really don't know who's winning, then I suggest you score 10-10. Because be fair, because if you guess and you're wrong, it's going to take that fighter that you wronged 2 additional rounds to make up for your mistake. So it's a normal tendency for judges to think, oh my gosh, I got to have somebody winning right now. I don't know who's winning. Well, sometimes nobody's winning. And that's a normal thought. And I just can't emphasize enough to you, relax, because something will show you whether it was a good punch, whether it's going to be something. And don't get confused today on what we're saying, and we're defining what is effectiveness. When it really comes down to it, effectiveness is just a fancier word for damage. We don't teach damage in boxing, and the reason is, for the beginners, the people who are just starting, if they see blood, then that's damage and they'll move their scores too quickly. We ask for effect. Did that punch have the real effect? I've always said, how many jabs is going to equal a hard right hand? How many
A lot
jabs?
of people say 3. Old school.
But you know what? I'm glad you said that, because that was my marker, but it depends how
Old school.
effective the jab was.
Yeah.
My answer to that is, I don't know. You've got to have the tape measure of your own mind. You've
And
got to know.
it could be different, because
That's what I'm saying.
a jab can be very strong jab
That's
or
where I was
very mild jab. So
exactly where I was going, Mauricio. You're ahead of me today, and I don't like that. So you take Larry Holmes. If Larry Holmes hit you with a jab, it was like a hitting you with a post.
Wow.
So you got to, all of these things that we're talking about today, it takes one thing to really understand, and that's common sense. Being a boxing judge, 80% of it is common sense. You've got to be able to concentrate. You've got to be able to use common sense. Good question. Yes.
I have Esteban from our office. He sent me by WhatsApp. Maybe he's shy. He sent his thinking of what is the description of close, moderate, decisive, and extreme. Maybe he can read them and we can discuss each. It's very simple. Esteban, are you connected?
Yes, I know. I don't know if you can hear me.
Why?
Yes.
Please
We
read
can hear
for
you.
you what is a close round.
A close round is the round that was very competitive and could reasonably go either way, and both boxers landed meaningful punches and showed activity. The winner of the round edges it by a very small margin. Example, 1 or 2 clean punches, slightly more effective aggression, and typically the type of round that can split judges.
Any opinions on this?
It's a good definition.
good, but also a close round could be a round with very little activity.
Right.
You cannot just define as round was very competitive. Boxers landed meaningful punches. So close round, it can be a brawl that all 3 minutes they both fought each other, or it could be a slow round, or it can be any situation where at the end, the key is that at the end of the round, you are not quite completely clear who won the round and that had won it with absolute certainty. Do you agree, Dwayne?
Well, Mauricio, I I agree with what you're saying, but I think we ought to review what is taught in the WBC seminars. And the
I believe
definition,
you have
I'm
the
sorry?
definitions, correct? You do
Yes.
have. Can you
Yes,
please
and
read
we-
that? That would be.
yes, and we put them up on the PowerPoint slides and give the definition in every seminar that I've been in. But a close is when the boxer has won the round by a narrow margin of victory over their opponent utilizing the scoring criteria, blah, 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 of considering each one of them. I don't need to read that because we know what the scoring criteria is. A moderate is when a boxer has won the round by a clear margin of victory over the opponent, utilizing the scoring criteria. Decisive is when a boxer has won the round by a large margin of victory.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. And
Sounds
extreme decisive is when a boxer has won the round by total domination, significantly outscored the opponent. So we have the definitions. You can take a moment and take a look at them, and if you have questions, let's have them. So again, the close is when there's a narrow margin of victory. The moderate is when there's a clear, you understand, and that fighter definitely won the round, but it was close. And then decisive is when the fighter has a large margin of victory. And then the 10-8 without a knockdown is total domination and significantly outscored, or it was a real butt kicking. Good questions. Do we have any?
As a final comment, I think, Xochitl, if we can do like a survey with those who participated in today's masterclass, and there we can add the question on topics that they would like to see in the next masterclass that will take place in the month of October.
Of course.
Wait,
Of course,
Dwayne, I
we'll
would
do
like to
that.
thank you so very much. You're such an unbelievable asset. Your knowledge and your great teaching model is sensational. I have enjoyed it
Thank
very
you.
much. I really appreciate it.
Well, I thank everybody that's on this today, and you've taught me well today with your questions, and I just encourage you, stay the course, keep doing what you're doing, and see you in Bangkok.
Well, before we finish, we have a concentration. Dwayne always tells us about how important concentration is. Can we close with that exercise? Are we ready for that? 1 minute. Gilbert, can you put the video, please? Put attention. Okay, here is the instruction. Take a good look at the images that we're going to show you. We'll ask you which one is not repeated. Understood? Okay, we begin. Stop there. Stop there. Which of these landscape was not repeated?
The one,
The first one on the left.
the middle one. on
The
the
last
second
one.
row.
The first one on the left?
No,
The
the first one.
WBC badge.
No.
You're
WBC.
guessing now.
Well, that's how fast, huh, Dwayne?
This is very difficult.
The fight goes. That's the speed that we need to be
It's
putting
the
attention
cabin in the
during the
middle.
fight. Okay, we're gonna make it easy for you. Please give us the answer.
You're asking me?
No, no, no.
The,
We're gonna see
Cabin
which
in the
one.
middle.
oh. Well, it's the one with the bay.
That's the one not repeated, huh?
Yeah, okay. Well, just make sure we all concentrate, and thank you very much, Mauricio and Dwayne and all the students here. We'll make the survey. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
now.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. God bless everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.